I am Geoff Eido. This is Lunacy, where we discern the sacred from the insane and admit that whether we like it or not, we are all profoundly affected by the cycles of the moon. How? Nice.
Nice.
My guest today is musician and DJ and producer Shaman's Dream. If you don't know Shaman's Dream music, please check it out on Spotify. He's amazing. He's kind of a legend up here and in the world. And I'm really excited to dig into your story and your life's journey and what brought you here and why do all the things that you're doing. So thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, right on.
For sure.
Okay, cool. So first question, Shaman's Dream. Why not Shaman's Nightmare?
Well, I've lived many shaman's nightmares, and I realized that I'd rather live in a dream.
Okay.
That was the beautiful side of it.
Yeah, okay.
Because it includes all of it. So, but it's about the intention of, opening up to a healing journey.
Okay.
That's really where the name came from. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. See, I was fucking with you, and you just gave me the truth on it.
yeah.
I thought the other ones I came up with were Shaman's Fantasy. That could be interesting.
It is a fantasy sometimes, but I don't know. It just came to me as the shaman's dream, basically out of the things I studied about shamanism, and it just came to me as a name for what I wanted.
Beautiful.
To call my music project. So,
well, look, if you want to change your name, this one's free. Ready?
Okay.
Shaman's Middle Finger.
Middle Finger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it.
It might be a song, maybe.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Great. So perfect. So let's just start off with a little bit of your journey. I know we were talking before the show here that we both came from the city of Los Angeles.
Lived there.
Yeah.
Wasn't born there, but.
Where were you born?
Upstate New York.
Okay. All right.
Right in the middle. Catskill Mountains.
Okay. All right. So you kind of grew up in the foothills, in the mountains.
In the mountains. Oldest mountains on the planet. One of them, the Catskills are. They're really beautiful.
That's great. I've spent 0 time in the Catskills. None at all. Never been.
Best time is the fall, and I mean it's gorgeous all the time. But
okay, cool.
Good place to grow up.
So you grew up there, and then you moved out to LA.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm about to be 66, so I have a long story. But yeah, born in upstate New York. Had an interesting journey where, I don't know how deep to get into all of that, but pretty intense childhood with my brother died at 9, my dad at 10, my mom at 12, and had to move out of my hometown and friends and lived with my brother for a couple years, but basically from 17 on I was on my own, and part of the musical part is I didn't even study music until I got into college, which was only a community college for a couple years. And then I went to this place called the Creative Music Studio, which is basically run by Carl Berger, and it's just avant-garde jazz people, and he would have working musicians come and teach based on jazz and other elements like that, like chicoria. And so I spent a couple of years.
Chicoria.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
All of that. They'd come for a week or two. They'd teach their approach to music. And then at the end, we would all perform something they wrote, and then he would be a part of playing to something we wrote together in the moment.
That's beautiful. What an amazing project. What was it called? It's called the
Creative Music Studio.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's still kicking it, Paul?
I think so.
Okay.
I haven't reached out or talked to them in a long time, but it really influenced my approach to my life and music in general. It supported improvisation, and that really is what I love to do the most, is just play improvisationally, not knowing what you're going to play, or just dive into it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great practice of listening, really, which I feel like is crucial for music, is to be a really good listener, both to other people you're playing with, but also to spirit, being guided by that.
Yeah.
So that's really a big element that happened at that time. And the other side of it was the shamanistic part, where I studied with this guy, Stephen Larson, who was Joseph Campbell's student, and he wrote a book called The Shaman's Doorway, and I just loved the concept of shamanic healing and just the approach to opening yourself up to receiving insight. And the whole shamanic, from my perspective, is about when people are ill or they're needing help in their life, they're basically missing a part of themselves. So the shamanic journey is based on going on a journey, usually into the underworld, and being guided and helped with a shaman singing. And there's always usually at least a drum or a shaker, and that's your lifeline as you kind of go into yourself and into the underworld to either get help from animal guide or divine being, or just to find what is it that you're missing that is you need to bring back to yourself to make yourself whole again. So that's kind of what the music's all based on too for me.
That's beautiful. Yeah, just to clarify, because I know a little bit about what you're talking about, because I'm also a dork, you know what I mean? Whatever, shamanism, I'm into it, you know what I mean? Talk to me about spirituality, I'll look at it for sure. But the underworld we mean is not like hell. People don't
just
get confused.
The opposite.
It's really the opposite.
Yeah, it's just whether it's coming from above or below, but it's really like going into yourself.
Right.
So it's like going into that underworld where I've had incredible experiences of going in, guided by a shaman, and just not even with medicine, but going in and you kind of open up into a whole nother world. And having encounters with, like one time I had a bear come and totally devour me and took me apart and dismembered me and then ate me. And then I became the bear. Like it just brought me into the essence of that strength and that power. And that's a lot of...
Sounds painful.
It was beautiful because it's like being taken apart and being put back together again.
Yeah.
With the energy and the power that you need.
Yeah.
To move forward in your life. So
you reconstituted yourself as this courageous bear.
Yeah.
With the essence of the bear.
Same experience with a snake, and so that really influenced the beginning for me musically, to create music that had that essence of going on a journey.
Yeah.
Into yourself or however, and the strength of the music to use it as a lifeline to come in and out and to really receive what you need for healing.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
And
so then, so you had those kind of beginnings. You studied with these sound like kind of two of your main teachers.
Well, it was just a beginning. I mean, from the shamanistic side, it was Stephen, and he just started the ball rolling. But for my own exploration later. But, this is just before 20 years old. So I'm just kind of beginning the process. And then one of the guys from the school was going to California, wanted somebody to ride with him, and I just took off.
Okay.
And then I never moved back.
Yeah.
Once I got to California, I realized, like, oh, yeah, this is my scene.
Yeah. Right.
So that was...
So that would have been back in the
80s.
Nice.
For sure.
Okay. So then you obviously kind of meandered around. When was and did your deal and lived in LA? I know I don't know about you, but there's like at least 10 years. I'm not sure what happened in LA.
Yeah, I was in the Bay for a while. I was in a spiritual community for a while, and it was just like life of meditation and prayer and service, to like running a food bank and that, and then just kind of moved out of that because it came a little too structured for me where I was at, and then did move to LA and got into production, like in festivals and music videos and TV and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Kind of did that world for a while. But yeah, I guess, and then I just couldn't handle the city that well and moved out into the desert hot springs, and met a woman who was a massage therapist, and that really got me into exploring that as a expression.
Body work.
And so, I mean, there's so much happening all at the same time during this part, but it was like I really tapped into that listening again, and that was, even before I went to school for massage, but found I had a really, good experience doing that work and was good at it. And one of the things that I wasn't finding was music that really stayed and sustained really long period. There'd be a track and it'd be done and done and done. So that really influenced me years later to create music for body work.
Oh, I see. Okay, great. Oh, that's so interesting. So really, body work and massage for you was the gateway into creating your own music.
Yeah, what's really inspired me because I wanted to create, again, that journey feeling.
Yeah.
And the other part was created albums, my first albums, that the songs tied into each other. It wasn't like a song started and ended, and then the next I would tie them together with nature, and so you never we're never let go. And it was really the thing I love, and it's influenced my DJing and just creating the journey with the music.
That's so beautiful. I was recently listening to an old Radio Lab episode, another podcast, beautiful podcast, and they were talking about how hearing works, which I didn't totally understand. But basically, it's like you're touching someone with your words and with the sound, and it goes into your ear and into your eardrum, and then eventually it activates these little hairs that are somewhere inside of your ear that then stimulates your electrical reaction, so that then you hear it, and then it goes into your brain, and then you interpret it and have an experience. But I hadn't ever really considered that before hearing that when you're listening to something, even this podcast, that you are actually having some sort of a massage effect on the listener. Certainly with music, that's the way that it works. It really, we sort of think about it as that's totally separate. They're over there and I'm over here. But no, that's not really. We're really playing with, the waves between us, literally. And so it's really beautiful that that body work was your kind of gateway into
wanting to, I'd already studied the music and explored, but I wasn't doing anything with it. So during that time also, I started to drum. That is my one main expression, like Afro-Cuban and African and percussion, and these were all kind of exploring and, getting into it at the same time. I studied with a guy named Paolo Mattioli and Baba Olatunji, actually. So pretty amazing human beings. And yeah, it's like we literally are healed, because you think of even listening to a song, if it's a minor or a major key, it immediately affects you, how you feel.
Yeah.
So there's really, to me, nothing like how powerful music can influence you. And then if you're embedding your intentions and prayers inside that music, which is what I do with everything that I do, which basically has that prayer for everybody to receive everything they need to be happy and healthy, and for their happiness, whatever that is. And so vibing that intention into the music, and whether people know that or not, that's what they're receiving inside of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a really good alternative to, money and hoes.
Yeah, it can definitely be that.
No, I really appreciate that. I think, similarly, I'm a musician also, obviously, and I really like, it's always my intention I find a lot of the music that I write is really for myself. It's really like, has helped me get through a lot of the songs that I've written, have really helped me to understand things, or get beyond things, or lament things, grieve things in a really powerful way. But then also, like, there's always an intentionality to, like, really move something in someone else. It's really about, how do I help somebody get inside somebody else's journey and help them move past this kind of really fundamental archetypal kind of piece that they need to, like, just get through so they can expand more and grow.
Yeah, inside the music, I'm always receiving exactly what I need from it too. I feel like that's the point. I can't be making something that doesn't resonate with me. Just the truth of it. I just can't make music for something.
Yeah.
If it's not really truly helping me too. Yeah, and then, I had another stint in an ashram, in a spiritual community, and through that experience, the teacher really liked the musical offering that I had, and so he brought me into helping to do meditations for groups that were coming to the ashram. And
like guided meditations?
Yeah, like guided meditations.
Cool. Where you would speak?
I wouldn't. He would do the speaking, but I'd be creating the music for it.
I see.
So this was really the beginning, and my first 3 albums really came out of that.
Fantastic.
Which is music I created for these meditations. First album's Breathing, and the first track is just basically all nature and me breathing and just moving through, the different elements with a little pad, and then, like, again, really long song, that stays consistent, and so that's the beginning, of what I really got into. And it's all been world music based, everything that I've created basically through the years, because I'm really influenced by the different cultures and their approach to musical expression. And so what I did for years, and the albums I created, one was Kerala Dream, my trip to India, African Dream, trip to Africa, and, different Bali. And so I just go and spend time in the culture and record everything I could. Always the nature, the village sounds, any local musicians, and then I'd come back and put these albums together. And again, world music is at the core of it.
That's so beautiful because, I think for me anyway, I know for sure it's so much of world music is also tapping into ancient wisdom and traditions of the culture and the people, which is why different cultures have different sounding music. Mm-hmm. But then you're really, when you think about that, it's like, well, we can only go back to like the 1910s or 20s or something with recorded music, but then music obviously has existed since the dawn of man.
Yeah.
And so then you're really tapping into these primal roots that have been passed along, especially with the African drumming and for sure with the Indian roots, then you're going back to the Vedic traditions, and like there's so much wisdom and beauty it's tied incredible. Into that I think, when you really consider it, it's like, oh wow, that's awesome. It's really just like, it's not just that's what's tickling my ears right now. It's like, no, just wait, don't take it for granted. Here it is. You're getting some keys to existence and the mystery of life in a positive way, and you're getting this ancient healing that's now incorporating into you from these old masters and this old tradition and who knows where they got it from. And
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, I really, I like creating music from scratch or whatever, but like the African music is thousands and thousands of years old, and it's a pure science. They literally figured out certain rhythmic elements and parts that would create certain states, and usually it's to open people up for spirit to sometimes be taken by that spirit or that orisha, like Afro-Cuban music, all of that is exactly that too. And same in Brazil. It's all the African roots, but it's literally to call in that orisha and the energy of that, what they have, what they bring, and people would get possessed. But the music had the science and the knowledge of how to actually do that, open doors.
Right.
So I
get possessed by a positive spirit that was helping them.
Yeah, I mean, that is the prayer behind it, for sure. And so I've done albums like that where when I went to Hawaii, Rise Up, it was a beautiful album, all, based on traditional music, African, Afro-Cuban, Brazilian, Haitian, and then I remixed it to which, whether people understand it or not, it's literally orisha music. It's like the core basis of it is that, but now is up-to-date sound design.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was what I was rocking out to last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to a lot of your stuff, but I really got into the remix of Rise Up.
And one, element when I kind of got out of the ashram and moved to LA again, and that created, a 15-year cycle of living there. And I met a yoga teacher, Micheline Berry, and we started doing, and this is just an important thing, that there's some history with the development of kirtan, yoga music, and the ecstatic dance thing really wasn't even ecstatic dance, but...
And kirtan, just for people who don't know, is like, it's call and response, but ancient Indian music. It's really cool.
Exactly.
The Krishna Hare Krishna is kirtan too, isn't it?
Yeah, there's elements to it, like Krishna Das and Jayutal, and so like I met all of them and was playing percussion with that. But we started this thing called Zen dancing that Micheline had already started, but because she was part of a Buddhist community. But once a month, I created a group called the Shaman's Dream World Groove Ensemble. And
Cool.
I found all live musicians. This is no DJing or anything. So we'd create a 2-hour journey, totally improvisational, non-rehearsed, just sit down and start to play with the intention of creating a dance journey that had a intention behind it. Same thing, people aren't standing there talking. They're really, you're engaged in co-creating an experience. And I came out of that with live music. And that taught me so much. It's just incredible experience to drop into that state of listening and trust and co-creating in the moment, never even knowing where it's going or what you're doing. And that's what I feel like, listening to spirit and seeing how an alchemy is always co-created each time. It's completely unique to that moment and very powerful. And yoga music, there was really no yoga music. It was like, especially anybody playing live for yoga. Like, I was really at the beginning of that too, starting to play for these yoga classes. And the scene was beginning there, really, in Santa Monica at that time, through Yoga Works and, Shiva Ray and on with the teachers that are big now. So that was happening. That was all improvisational too, just creating things for yoga classes in the moment. And then the kirtan movement was happening. And so they were all influencing each other. And I'd have, the kirtan singers come and play with me and back and forth. And it was a really powerful beginning,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it really, I was also in production and doing music videos. Like, I was in helping to produce like the top stuff at the time.
You were as a producer or
as a producer?
Okay.
Production manager first, and then a producer. But
can you give us an example of what's your biggest video that you did?
I'd say there's a lot, but Snoop Dogg for sure.
Oh, that guy.
Puffy with
Puffa.
Christine Aguilera,
Okay.
and Amiri Nas and all of that. It
Yeah.
was like when they were pumping a lot of money into that.
Cool.
But I couldn't relate with the energy with it. That was the other thing that was hard to deal with. How women were being treated and the kind of the message behind it. So I had to kind of leave that scene.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. We love you, Snoop, etc. We do
Yeah.
indeed. But I also, that's always been a big kind of a thing for me as well. With my love of hip hop music, but then sometimes I'm just like, dude.
Yeah.
It
was hard.
You don't want to treat women like this. And also that's the creative force you're talking about. You know what I mean? Behind the woman. Like, I'm not, I think we're all in this together. There's equality, etc. But like, let's really bring it back to honoring the feminine. And so much of that music, unfortunately, doesn't do that.
No.
So
yeah, it was a big pot of all these things happening all at the same time. And, and it was tough, I was getting into drugs and just trying to maintain doing all of these things all at once. And it finally collapsed in 2007 and ended up in rehab and,
good for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good.
Do you mind sharing what the main substances that led you into rehab are?
Oh, cocaine for sure.
Okay.
Right. That's the one thing that I love it. But the other side of it is total destruction for me, because you just lose sight of taking care of yourself and hard on the body, and you just become a really big idiot.
Yeah.
And make some really terrible choices,
Yeah. I was always really paranoid about doing cocaine. When I moved out to LA, I was like, I'm just not going to get into that. I'll just stick to drinking, which was also a dumb idea.
That was always a part of it too. So
yeah.
hand in hand.
And when I did try it, I only tried it a few times. But every time I just would be like, God, this sucks. Or I feel confident and I'd be like, yeah, but I was older when I tried it. I was like, whatever, in my 30s. So I was already pretty confident in who I am, so I was like, well, okay, I feel confident, I guess, but I'm confident anyway. And then I would just feel like just complete garbage the next day, walking home at the sunrise, just like, what the fuck? Why did I even do that?
If you wake up and
and also I found
end up in a hotel room for 3 days and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't have that fun time. Also, I think, and I also noticed that, people can generally just become real egotistical jerks on that medicine. That
for sure.
So good for you. I'm glad that you got. On that note, I think it's interesting because like the essence of the coca leaf, isn't
totally
bad.
Different.
I mean, it's great. It's like a mambe or just like if you go to Peru, they serve you coca tea and it's like delicious and it'll wake you up and like, but it's like just concentrating it so much into cocaine using gasoline that it's like we're perverting the essential medicine of that
aberrated,
plant. Yes, aberrated perversion of a beautiful medicine.
Because coca, and it's beautiful. It's the mother, and it's really, in essence, what people are wanting.
Right.
Really, they just don't have that, introduction to what the medicine really is in the beginning, and it just takes you over the top and takes you out of your body rather than drops you into it. And so,
So you ended up we're in rehab.
Rehab, come out, and, everyone's, we love you, we have work for you, and, come back to get into it. And I was like, if I do that, I'm going to be dead. I'll just...
Good for you.
And LA was just really hard environment, which became clear. And I just took off to the Big Island for a month and just lived in a tent at a little yoga retreat center and realized, just going and getting in the ocean every day and just being in nature, that was the whole point of what I really needed.
Yeah.
Was the somatic healing rather than, you get so in your head, especially when things are going bad, you're just trying to figure out what's wrong with me. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And just getting in the ocean every day, it just reset everything. And I realized it was a somatic healing that I really needed. And I just spent a month and decided I'm changing my whole life. Came back to LA, and if I couldn't sell it or give it away within a couple weeks, I couldn't put it on a pallet to Hawaii, then I just gave it all away. And so it was an intense move, but crucial for me.
That saved your life.
And what was happening on the Big Island, which is a big part of the story, is Ecstatic Dance.
Right. Okay, great.
At Kalani, and it was, going a little while there. But once I saw that and saw the vibe and how beautiful that was, it was like, oh yeah, this is the place I want to apply myself musically.
Yeah, so let's give like a little sort of a definition for ecstatic dance, because some of my listeners probably don't know what that is, and it sounds crazy is what it does. But I feel like, kind of picture that scene at the end of the Matrix, one of the Matrix movies, where they're down there in Zion, everybody's dancing and drumming, and people are open and moving around, but it's not like it's just a really kind of a sacred activity.
Absolutely.
How would you define it?
Yeah, it's a free form movement practice, where you're not required to dance with anyone, or it's really about you just listening to your body and exploring what movement do I need to do, like how, and just not having any limitation on that, whether you're just standing there silent or moving very slow or just completely wild. It's an environment that, you're not talking, you're not chit-chatting, you're just there to explore the movement and the relationship of the music to be the vehicle that you get into and explore, and then it's also moves into relating with others and dancing with others, and it's a very beautiful and intimate situation because you start to see how you relate. And like the idea is just to let go of your motivations to, oh, this is a beautiful person and I want to hook up with them, and that happens, it's part of the exploration, but
part of the dance,
like how to just be in a clear space, whether you're dancing with yourself or dancing with others, and can be extremely cathartic. So everything happens, crying, and so I was like, this is the environment I want to be a part of. And I hadn't even DJ'd at all at that point, but I didn't have a whole band, so I was like, okay, I got to learn how to DJ, So that put me into learning, and then using all kinds of music, every kind of genre. And for ecstatic dance, my thing with a good ecstatic dance DJ is they don't just stay stuck in one genre or one tempo. It's literally, really, ecstatic dance came out of the seed of Gabriel Roth with 5 rhythms, and just moving from silence to ecstatic to stillness. And it's a wave. It's kind of like making love or yoga. You're kind of just opening up and opening your body, listening, and slowly moving into things. And of course, if you can get to a big ecstatic state and letting go that energy, that's very powerful. And kind of coming back down into a stillness and place of integration, That's a really big, this is how I do it.
Yeah, right.
It's not necessarily how others do, but so it really taught me how to pick all kinds of music, all kinds of tempos, and watched for years. So that was like starting in 2007, and I've been doing it since then, just studying what moves people, what do they respond to, what turns them on or brings them into a, contemplative place, and just really riding the whole gamut of an experience, and then just designing sets that really explore all of those things.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's where we met, actually, was at one of your ecstatic dance
in
Nevada
Hawaii?
City.
Oh, Nevada City. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
so that was really
set.
A big seed, the Big Island, because what we know of here, like Tyler Blank and Donna Carroll came over to the Big Island and just saw the model and then brought it back to the Bay, to Oakland. That was really the beginning. And then since then, it's literally worldwide. And, there's other seeds that, can't just say that's the seed of all of it and all the ecstatic dances, but it's a really big one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go check it out sometime. What I find so fascinating about the whole ecstatic dance, because I've done it a little bit in LA on the beach kind of thing, and then I've done it here, obviously, in Nevada City. But like, there is like a respect
Mm-hmm.
For people. There's no talking. There's a sign that says no talking. Like if you want to talk, there's go to the space where you can talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then just very much like it's much more of an internally focused kind of a thing, which then makes the whole activity therapeutic and enjoyable at the same time. It's kind of really like a beautiful answer for me, who loves to dance. Like I love dancing, but I'm not into drinking anymore, really. Occasionally, but like that's not my motivation.
Right.
So here's a space where you can go and dance your face off and have a really great time and have also a really great experience, and also be making it into more of a prayerful activity.
Exactly.
Where you're really tapping into yourself and looking at what needs to get expressed, in this moment that's going to be in alignment with my highest evolution and good. Wow.
There you go.
They're getting hoity-toity over here, you guys, big time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But true story. Like it's really
True.
about, how do I, so many of these practices, yoga and et cetera, it's like, how do I really come into center and it's so beautiful that that's your offering. We were talking earlier about music, and you were mentioning like how much you get out of the expression of the music itself. And I think that's such a beautiful point, because it's really about the reciprocation. It's really about creating a reciprocity loop where you're giving something and receiving something from it, not only just in the music that you're making while you're making it, but also the reflections from the people who are listening, who are imbibing your music, and then also just kind of flowing with that, and really like ultimately being of service.
It's absolutely a service. And I always say that. Thank you for letting me be of service.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is a community builder. And that's, even a big reason why I moved up to Nevada City was the Ecstatic Dance community. And the festival community, and there's a lot of music producers here, and the nature part is a huge reason.
Yeah.
But
Good old nature.
It's always there for you.
Yep, them trees, man, they're good. I've been in the forest bath since I moved up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been good for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So the community element is the, offspring of it. It's creating community and bringing people together consistently. And that's the other thing I saw a long time ago, is like people need ways to find community that they resonate with. And dance and music is a great, seed for bringing people together and opening them up, and there you are. Now you have people who are into the same thing you are, and that kind of builds from there.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like a healthy activity too. I mean,
I think so.
I know for myself, I'm an introverted extrovert, and so I waffle between those two extremes. I got to go into my cave, and then also I need to be around people because I love people, but also whatever. That's just who I am. I'm into it.
Absolutely.
And for so many years, for me, that was like going to bars. And man, that's boring. Like it's just.
But it's the same.
You get to know people, but also then you're drinking, and then it gets weird because you're drinking, and you don't know like whatever spirits or whatever things happen to you, you know what I mean, while you're drinking this destructive thing.
But it's really the same. It's like I want to go somewhere where I can relate.
Yeah. And
where I can find a community. Obviously, it's a whole weirder thing, but
in a more healthy way.
It's really the essence of what is the bar.
Yeah.
The pub. Like I'm going to the pub. I'm going to see all my friends, and we're going to chat and talk. But the e-dance scene really...
and it's nice because then next day you remember what you talked about.
Hopefully.
You probably usually don't wake up with somebody you didn't wish that you woke up next to.
Maybe, that's right. You might wake up with somebody, but
you're going to
probably
feel
made
really
the choice
to
do that. Yeah.
If you're enjoying this program, if you love Lunacy, please consider becoming part of our team. Go to patreon.com/Lunacy Podcast.
You can choose a number of different levels to support us on a monthly basis so that we can continue the work of exploring the love operating system, how best to be of service, and how to live life to the fullest. Thank you so much for your support. Much love, everybody.
So that's really, there's so much more, but Ecstatic Dance really became the place that and I've played festivals too. Like, I was a big part of the transformational festival scene for a long time because I was helping to run different aspects, of like Lightning in a Bottle, Symbiosis, Beloved, and other, Enchanted Forest at the time. But I was helping to curate and run stages, and I was also playing. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot less controllable environment, obviously.
Right.
You don't know what people are doing. You're still, doing your thing, but it takes a lot more work to unify a community. You focus, but it can happen. But,
yeah.
And so that was a big part of my life too. And that was a lot to do, weekend after weekend, not sleeping, always going to one festival, working, trying to get it together to get your energy back to go, work another one. And it's a beautiful idea, but it became clear it's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. And that's a big choice I've made in my life now, where is this thing I'm going to do, whatever it is it going to nourish me?
Right.
Or am I going to come out of it depleted?
Yeah.
And, as beautiful as things are, Burning Man, blah, blah, it's a great opening experience, but am I nourished?
Right.
Or am I now wiped out and I have to get myself back together again?
Yeah. You need 2 weeks to recover and integrate and everything.
Yeah. So there can be great experiences. Mm. There's always a push to any ceremony, where you're kind of challenged in some way. But I just want to make choices now where I walk away being nourished and, still feel good.
Right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I know you've had a lot of influence on other DJs and folks, that we've heard of that certainly I admire. I just was curious if you wanted to maybe share a little bit about that journey and who you've gotten to work with and kind of help to co-create, co-cultivate with from your own modus operandi and how you do things.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, for me, what I create and the people I like to work with and co-create with all have the same intention and prayer. That their music is being a nourishing, healing element. And, my main person I've worked with through the years is Amani Friend from Desert Dwellers, Liquid Bloom.
Mm-hmm. I love that guy.
Prungy, we've made albums and played together, and that's really the requirement for me. It's like, who is the person,
Yeah.
And just even in early on, it was the Shaman's Dream music collective, because I don't really want to make music by myself. I'm not a guy that just sits and pumps out stuff on the computer at home. You can do it, but it's not what feeds me. Mm-hmm. So music is a collaboration and a communication, and that's why I like co-creating with all these different people. And you expand yourself because you get their approach to what you're doing, and then when you really, my most recent person I'm working with is Jordan Hansel Geometry, who lives here in Nevada City, and we just have that same intention behind what we're doing, and working together, we're feeding each other to approach music in a certain way. I'm bring things, and he brings things to me. And it's really great alchemy. So, like all the beginning stuff, it was a guy named Ra Beast, Alex King Harris, and Amani, and myself. Mm-hmm. I was producing DVDs for all the kind of movement health practices like yoga, Tai Chi, and I was producing them, but we needed to have music. So rather than go to some library that's just elevator music, mm-hmm. It was like, well, let's just create it ourselves. So that really set the stage for like 10 years of creating all this yoga music, down tempo, all based on kind of the flow of world music and, you know, sound design like bass music, and all the early down tempo albums from Desert Dwellers, mm-hmm. we produced together.
Yeah.
And it's just, I call it support music, because it's something you can listen to intentionally and receive, but you can put it on while you're doing anything.
Yeah.
Work around the house, being creative yourself, or mm-hmm. making love, and you know, it's just like this music as it sits there supporting you doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah, because the intention is really imbued into the sounds
and
themselves.
The energetic of it, because I like it all, but I love the down tempo vibe, mm-hmm. and because you can sit in it for hours and hours.
Right.
It doesn't energize you so much where you're like, okay, I need to chill now.
It's just more grounding the entire time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that again is like that's where I'm at my core, is I really love that kind of music. And that's this new album I'm doing with Jordan called Home, which is really what is the most important thing to me in my life right now, is creating my home and my relationship with my newborn son,
so
Arna, and my wife, and the sanctuary of our home. The music, this 9 tracks that we're doing, really represent the energy of that nourishment.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Well, 3 of them are out.
Okay. I have heard the one that starts with an H.
Hanima Way, which is a...
Hanima Way. That's the one.
Way.
Very good. Spotify. Check it out.
Yeah. So that, and Night Bloom. And then, yeah, it's just like mainly in that energy.
Yeah.
Know, just that supportive energy, and different types of styles of music. And yeah.
That's great. So I'm just curious. I want to chat with you a little bit about, like, I feel like there's unquestionably like a big shift that's going on in the world in terms of how it is that we treat each other and we treat the planet, how it is that we interact. And there's like kind of a big kind of reconciliation that's also happening for how it is that we've gotten here collectively as a culture. And I mean, it's clear to me that your music feeds into somewhat of an antidote for that, and or like just a way to move forward, a way to turn inward. And you know, I don't want to get like lofty about it, but I do feel like it's critically important, and I'm just curious, you know, what your thoughts are on how music and what we're creating feeds into kind of shifting the paradigm of how we do business on planet Earth.
Yeah, I feel like whether the music has words or not, or a message inside of it, which I really love what you're doing and things you're writing, and with a message, you know, you're speaking to an issue, and That isn't necessarily for me just what I do, because it takes so much. And I really respect songwriting, where you can speak to something and address something, but not sound like you're preaching or, trying to influence somebody, but just trying to wake them up to consider something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've done some things. I have done some things. There's a song called Water and Gold, and the proceeds to that go to building water systems for children's schools in other countries.
Amazing.
Yeah, I did that with Isaac Chambers. And but yeah, I just think it's how, it's down to like, how are we every day of our life and every moment living it in a way that is respectful for each other,
mm-hmm.
the environment we're in. I mean, this area, and I love Nevada City, but environmentally and culturally, what happened here is like a genocide.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
Stripped the land and blew open the mountains just to get gold.
Right.
And destroyed the environment, and it's coming back. But that's also a thing. Like, really consider where you are
mm-hmm.
and the territory you're living in, and try to understand some history to it, and what prayers and things you can do for the area you're in, both to the people and to the land, that
mm-hmm.
can bring that healing from the past, and understanding that. And like the Nichiren people and Maidu are really special people,
mm-hmm.
and there's things happening with them that can be supported. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's an answer to it, but it's really just, to me, how we behave on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. No, it is. It's interesting. I got a chance to interview Shelley Covert, who's the spokesperson
mm-hmm.
for the Nissan on this program,
mm-hmm.
maybe a month, 2 months ago, something. You guys can find it. Okay. But we had a really beautiful discussion. I really mm-hmm. I really admire her. And I appreciate her so much, and what they're really trying to do, which is to get federal recognition
mm-hmm.
for what it's worth. But really, it's more like a reconciliation of like, hey man, why don't you take a look at the fact that all these people were like murdered, in really awful, terrible ways, and they were really just living in harmony with the earth when it happened.
Yeah,
and then this, to me, it's less about like. If I had a time machine and I could, form a war tribunal and go back and like get all the guys that took the machine guns and just shot everybody, right? Well, then I would do that, I would do the Nuremberg trials here, but can't do that. At least I don't have it. If somebody has a fucking time machine and they want to enact this, just call me. All right. Email me. All right. info@geoffeido.com. Love to hear about it. But it's less about that for me. It's much more about, well, why don't we look at, as you say, that we blew up the mountains in order to just get gold, because that was the thing. So why don't we look at more of our the power of greed and how much that's infected and influenced and polluted our environment and our ways of interacting and being in the world, and I really feel like that's a lot of what Shelley and the Nissan they're trying to do, is like just kind of acknowledge, hey, how are we being? And like you say, how do we be respectful of each other? How do we be respectful of the earth? And I mean, I'm clear, and I'll say it right now, that this land that we sit on right now is a product of these people that lived here for hundreds of years, thousands of years in peace, nurturing the land and now I benefit from that, and I am forever grateful, and I sing about it, and I sing to the land. I'll walk around my sounds crazy, but
it's
I'll walk the land
most sane
and sing.
thing.
Yeah, it really is.
The land gives me songs, literally, trees, and I have a tree called Cedar Moon, which it literally gave me that song, told me, just played. And the land gives gifts all the time, and, I've built a relationship with, another guy, Don, who's the chief of the Maidu, go to their land and just be with them, help things that they need, Like I've brought firewood to families that Shelley, I was just like, how can I help? Somebody need firewood. And so, yeah, just simple things, acts of kindness and love, and, offering what you can. Because I don't have any big answers for any big problems, that's for sure. But I can do...
Well, you do have your music.
Yeah, and, after close to 30 years now, that's the other beauty of music is, well, I've been consistent at it and putting it out for a long time, so it's literally gone to all over the world, and just to hear back, oh my God, this album or this song was so important for me. It helped me through these really hard times, and, like you're expanding yourself everywhere. So your love, and just if you could be there with every person and interacting, that's great. But it's a way that you put yourself out into the world that can touch people with who you are without having to necessarily be there to do it.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's a different model because instead of like, what's interesting, and I think, I don't know about you, but a lot of like the kind of the torture, I would say, of like being a musician, an actor. Like I have a little bit of a different path than you, but of being who I am is like so much of it is about validation,
Right.
and getting applause and getting laughs and stuff like that, which is great because if people are laughing, well then they're receiving medicine, but then also how much of that is just about me feeling good about me and not being of service. And for sure what I've noticed, having bombed a lot in different in different ways, what I always notice is like, the when I'm really bombing, I'm criticizing myself. I'm not doing it for the right reasons. It's not for service. When I can really tap into the story of the song or just the goofiness that that is musing with me, working with me, then that's when it's like something really beautiful and contributive happens and purposeful. And I think that's also part of the the greed thing. Like we have to recognize that's just a symptom of a disease, right? Where it's, instead of asking how much can I get, asking how much can I give, like on this program, we talk a lot about what I call the love operating system, which, is just basically having a contextual question. How do I love more? How do I give more love? How do I love what I'm doing in my life more? How do I love the people in my life? How do I receive more love? Having that question, and then the answers will come just by virtue of the fact that it's kind of hanging out there in the background. And for me, I feel like, well, that's definitely part of it. Like, it's not just how do I look good? It's more like, how do I be of service? How do I have purpose in this world? How do I really nourish my own heart and why I'm here and the great mystery that I'll never understand at all. And I think like that's part of the battle, is like looking at, well, how much of this is about really like being willing to question. For me, this is really important, to really be willing to question what's the motivation here. Is it actually being of service, or is it actually that I want some stuff?
I think they're always tied.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the core of it all is we want love, period. And all we're ever doing, this is my own perspective, of course, but throughout our life is, how am I getting love? How do I do it? You know, especially like my history,
Yeah.
I lost everybody. And so you start to become a master at manipulation, not because you want to be manipulating, but you're trying to, how do I get this person to like me so that they'll love me and take me in so I can be a part of something or community, whatever it is. And there's nothing really wrong at that, but you can a lot of times not respect the truth of yourself because you're just trying to be a part of, and you know, and this happened for me, is just, I just always outside of myself, you know, trying to get all this love and getting people to like me, and, you know, learning all these skills to be important and needed.
Yeah.
You know, like being a producer, truthfully, like it was just like, I'm the most needed person. So there's a part of it that was manipulating that love so that I was always a part of the thing, you know?
Right.
And, but not taking care of myself at the same time, you know, pushing myself well past what's really helping me, you know, just to be liked and loved and needed. So just, you know, getting older, I've slowly, you know, rounded all those edges down to really loving myself more and taking more time for what I need, and just the decisions, you know, not pushing myself out there past a place where I'm being nourished. But, you know, I think we're always wanting love, and we'll do a lot of things to get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, you got to know the balance.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, and I know you mentioned, I mean, you just mentioned there, like, self-love and loving yourself, which I think is, like,
that's a big one.
It's so huge, and it's you know, I say it, and it's like automatically the inner critic is like, he's talking about self-love again. Here we go, man. You know, just like, it's like the voice of the world is just like, bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
But why, first of all, why is that? You know, why is there so much internal conflict or like resistance to this idea of loving yourself, like truly actually loving yourself? Why is there resistance to that? And also, like, I mean, it does sound simplistic, but it really is the answer. It really, I mean, loving yourself, if I can really get to a place where I actually am giving that to myself, like in meditation or prayer or in song, then I feel so good. I feel so good and so gratified. And it enables me to, like, give love to other people without, you know, without needing it, without pulling it out of them.
And acting in ways to manipulate the situation. You're just showing up present because you're already full. I mean, I think people react to the self-love thing just because it's tied to what they think is selfishness, or
right. It's confused with narcissism. But it's
not. But it's not that at all. It's actually the exact opposite. You know, being the most beautiful thing in my entire life, and never been happier than I am now in my life. And a big part of that is being a father. And, you know, you have this opportunity to be with a divine being who is straight, pure innocence and full of wonder, and everything they're doing is not created by these manipulations. Of course, they're trying to manipulate to get something, but what that's done for me, and we had a huge story, which he was born 3 months premature, and my wife's water broke the month before, and we spent 5 months in intensive care, and he just about didn't make it. But who he is as a being now is incredible. He's healthy, he's so happy, and he's so loving him and caring for him, and having the opportunity to be shown how to be fully present all the time, because that's the requirement. They just need you to be 100% there. And that's an incredible practice and great opportunity to learn how to do that. So it's nourishing me. It's giving me all the things that I want. It's the cycle between, giving and receiving. That it's always one thing when it's in balance. And so, yeah, I love being of service. I feel so good about it, and I feel well past the states of manipulating that to try and get something that I think I don't have, because I really feel like, prayer is a huge part of my life, and not just asking for, things, but really asking for help.
Yeah.
It's a very simple thing. It's just simply help me to be more loving, kind, helpful to others and to myself. And that's like this most simple, easiest prayer, and it's really what I live in every day and come back to. And the other, the ancestors that are, just from my perspective again, is I don't think I'd be alive if I wasn't protected and overseen by their help through all my life, everything that I've been through. Many times I should have been dead or jail or whatever, but I call out for that help.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel it and experience it, and literally have seen it in many things, but in the medicine journeys and stuff. But there's, most strong thing you can do is ask for help.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. We're not doing it alone.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I totally believe that. There's a couple of things I wanted to tease out there. For me, like when you say, your child is a divine being, which, by the way, I totally believe. I mean, Jesus said, be like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of Buddhist references to children, and it's just clear. You look in the eyes of a baby, it's like something way more is going on than when I look at, other people. No offense or anything.
No offense taken.
But divine also, etymologically. See,
I don't even know what that word is.
The origin of the word, etymology. I think it's like the study of the origin of the word. Means wholeness. Divine really just means wholeness. And a child like yours obviously is still kind of in a state of wholeness. They haven't gotten confused about it and lost their way yet. And so they still really are whole. They really are part of that, whatever hole we came from. So that's really, really beautiful that you brought that in. And then I was going to ask you, I wanted to ask you, what's Sahuna mean?
Sahuna came through a medium. Actually, a friend of mine, Chris Berry Channel, he lived in Africa and was initiated into being a medium. And his spirit he works with is, it's funny, he said, my name is nameless, so you can call me Haha, which is perfectly, describes how he is. But he just asked me, did I want a name that I had in another lifetime when I was doing what I'm doing now, which is music and creating community and going place to place. And I said, yeah, totally. So he said, Sahuna, and Sa is like a seed word. It's the binding force, which is love. So Sa is love, and Una is the receptacle for it. So it's being a receptacle for love.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Crag was what I was giving, which is a crag in a mountain. So I was like, crag in a mountain or the receptacle for love. And we were talking about it's simply the vibration of something. Just so language, Sahuna is like, it's a nourishing frequency.
Yeah.
Not that Craig isn't, it's different, but language and how we speak and transmit is healing.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. My name Eido is from a Zen teacher I had, and it means illuminating way, which I really like. That's why I took it on. Because it's like a calling, you know, it's like, it's like whatever I do, I need to be, it has to check with that. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's like, it's a way for me to kind of like, okay, is this actually illuminating way, or is this actually like taking us down a dark path over there? You know what I mean? Fucking to bullshit town. You know what I mean? Greedy town. That's beautiful. So I asked this of all of my guests. Well, first of all, is there anything that you feel like we haven't touched on that's like on your heart that you really want to tell people about Sahuna and Shaman's Dream and this life, or you think might be contributive?
Well, you know, I think just come and listen to the music. You know, that's the closest thing. And just, you know, find, basically when somebody told me a long time ago is don't do anything that you don't want to do. Like if you find yourself in your life, and look, we do things we're uncomfortable with, but if you find yourself doing things that are not nourishing for you, just stop doing it. And it might be very dramatic to do something like that. But I've just found that if I really listen to that, you know, is there anything I'm doing in my life where it's taking energy away from me or not nourishing me? That's the thing to kind of address. And that's kind of the question I'm always, you know, keeping going for myself is keep refining. Because we're always going to do things that we don't want, and, you know, we're going to learn our way because we're all trying to find out what is my expression. I feel blessed that I've known this as my expression for a long time, but a lot of people are still finding out what that is.
Yeah.
But it's a good meter to know whether it's a good direction or not, you know.
Is this nourishing me, or is it taking away?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And the things that aren't doing good, you know, be brave and just try your best to stop doing that.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't hurt you and someone else.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and I would just add too, you know, for those of us out there, I know various callings for myself have developed over the years, and I'm still exploring them, and I'm, you know, I'm older, all right? You know what I mean? I'm still in my 40s, but barely. And, you know, so I just want to encourage, I know, like, I have a lot of friends who are writers or have a writer inside of them. Just like whatever it is that you think nourishes you, I just encourage us to like step in that direction and see what happens and really be accepting no matter when it is or what it is, to just go for it.
And that's the thing. You don't have to have one thing, like one. And over these last couple of years, like these necklaces, these acorn medicine necklaces came out of being with the Maidu people at a bear dance, and where they spoke about the importance of honoring the things that have been important, and the acorn and the oak tree was crucial for food. But so for me, it was like, this is a way that I can honor the medicine of the acorns, and it drew me into a total thing of making these, you know. And it's not like the only one thing, but it's just another thing. And I love working with wood, so I make tables, and so I just keep looking for ways that I can express myself.
That's great.
Creatively, in whatever that way that is.
Yeah, beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, Sahuna, I ask this of all my guests. For you, what is sacred and what is insane?
That is a good question.
Thanks.
Well, everything is sacred if it's treated in a sacred way. So that's also a teaching from, being part of medicine ceremonies, and teacher was like, how you fold the blanket you're sitting on, or how you treat and take care of anything, it becomes sacred when you treat it that way. And so that's really the approach of what that is. Like, everything is sacred already, but it really now has a direct relationship with you because you're treating it in that way. No matter what it is, a table or a person, and I love living my life like that. And did you say insane or not?
Yeah, what is insane?
What is insane? Well, insanity could be a tool too. Because anything that seems like not right, or, there are really terrible things that people can do, or things that are insane in the nature of what they are. But to me, like, if something's insane and it's triggering something really deep inside you, it's probably a doorway to one of the most healing things that could come, because it's simply the pinpoint of something you're not dealing with, probably.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. What a great answer.
So use all of it. That's my approach. Is just, that's probably one of the most sacred things that could be happening.
Yeah.
Is to look at it. Like, what is it trying to help you heal or receive?
That's beautiful. That's great. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
So what can we look, we can go to shamansdream.com to check out your work.
Shaman's Dream Music is the
and then,
website, which I'm redoing, and everybody always says that, but I am. But Spotify, Shaman's Dream is Shaman's *S, Dream. And that's where you can, find all the music that's happening. And and
come to Ecstatic Dance on Sundays in Nevada City.
Yeah, I'm not playing for a while, but I will be in the winter. But come to Ecstatic Dance anyway, because
it's awesome.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Beautiful. Also, I just want to self-plug All Will Sing, which is my next release, comes out October 6th. So please, do the pre-save thing. Check me out, Geoff Eido, on Spotify. Pretty cool video coming out too that has some ecstatic dancing in it, actually. Yeah, it's exciting.
Oh yeah, at the beach, at the river.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sahuna has seen it. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the program. I really appreciate you and your medicine and your journey and your perspective. And I really want to acknowledge you for really, really diving into to being a vessel for love and healing for us. And I honor you. Aho.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. Yeah. It's my first podcast.
And your favorite podcast.
Totally. Yeah,
this is the
my
best
favorite.
one.
It's
Let's
the
be
best one
honest.
so far.
I feel like it's your best work.
Because it was all
on
about me.
podcast.
So
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right, everybody. Much love. We'll see you next week.
peace.